Okay, so good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Dr. Brian from UOW Malaysia KDU School of Business here. This session is our fifth virtual discourse session brought to you by UOW Malaysia KDU. Yeah, the topic for today on SME Survival Kit, the fifth series here on specifically on faith and mindset. The past four sessions that we had on SME Survival Kit is very much focusing on the technical aspect of business, whether it's in strategies or marketing or finance and business model. But today onwards, we are focusing a bit more into the inner self of individuals, yeah, in order for us to survive. As we understand also that in order for us to survive, we need to have the right mindset, to be positive and to be perseverance as well, yeah. So today's session is from 3 to 4 p.m. Today, and we are very happy and glad to have two of our very distinguished panelists today with us. Okay, I will introduce to them to you all shortly. So allow me to take this opportunity to introduce and to let you know exactly who we are. UOW Malaysia KDU. UOW stands for University of Wollongong, Australia, and now KDU is part of the UOW Global Network. Therefore, UOW Malaysia KDU is actually not the new kids on the block. In fact, we have about 36 years of experience in the private higher education industry already, yeah. And now we have actually four campuses, two in Klang Valley, one in Damansara Jaya along LDP Highway, and another one is the one that you're seeing in the picture here is our signature campus in Utropolis Glen Mary Shah Alam. We also have two more campuses up north in Penang, one in Georgetown and another one in Batu Kawan on the mainland side, yeah. And therefore, by joining University of Wollongong, Australia, now we are part of the global network, which means that the students and expertise of KDU, now all of us is interconnected with UOW Global Network around the world, specifically their campuses in Australia, Hong Kong, and Dubai as well. Yeah. Just to start up a bit brief of the session for today, we also everybody understand that the current situation is not that positive. Yeah, it causes a lot of issues, especially towards the small and medium enterprises, the SMEs, and government has stepped up to introduce certain economic stimulus packages. However, there are a lot of uncertainties still persist, especially within the SMEs. So today, as explained earlier on in this beginning of the session, the focus for today is really to look into the survival tips for SMEs through the building of faith and mindset itself. Yeah. This is not going to be a religious session, just to bear in mind, everyone. Yeah, there's no religious preaching in this session here, but we think that in order for us to build the confidence and the right mindset, there are a lot of things that we can learn, yeah, from a lot of these teachings itself. In order for us to build the right mindset again, as I mentioned earlier on. Okay, so I hope everybody will be having an open mind today in this particular session to really learn about how can we apply all these teaching into business context itself. Yeah. So let me introduce to you our panelists for today. The first one is Dato Dr. Daniel Ho. He is the founding senior pastor of Damansara Utama Methodist Church, or DUMC. Yeah, being a pastor himself, he is very passionate also to supervise as well as to be a mentor to many industry people as well, including CEOs and business leaders. Dato, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Hi everyone. Okay, and welcome you all indeed to this session this afternoon. Looking forward to just interact together. It'll be great and wonderful.
Excellent. Next, we have Professor Arfah Salleh. Yeah, she is a true believer of the importance of humans embodying our essence as relational beings. Yeah, therefore, she co-founded the Human Governance Institute Incorporation as a platform to share the philosophy of human governance. And Professor Arfah Salleh is also currently the honorary professor at USM. Prof, you would like to say hello to everyone?
Yes, Assalamualaikum, good afternoon, salam sejahtera to everyone. I'm looking forward to having a good interactive session today.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. So next, I would like to take this opportunity to share a little bit of the brief of this session for today and how everything started and where do we ended now as of today and how should we move forward, yeah, especially for SMEs to survive again. Okay. Everybody knows that the coronavirus started end of last year. In fact, when China alerts WHO of several pneumonia cases, but it wasn't until January 11th when China announced the first death due to coronavirus, and situations spreading around the world, and it's no longer just a Chinese issue but a global pandemic instead. And therefore, in Malaysia, we started our MCO action. The government started the MCO on 18th of March 2020, and we are now in phase 4 of this MCO situation, which should be ended by 12th of May 2020. Yeah, we hope that it should be lifted by then. But of course, during the 1st of May on the Labor Day, the Prime Minister has announced that selected businesses can start to resume tomorrow on the 4th of May. So there is some positive movement already in regards to this condition in Malaysian context. Yeah. Certain impact of COVID-19 on mentality shift among the SMEs has been seen as well in Malaysia. Okay. Just a little bit of context of what do we mean by SME here. In this session, we adopt the definition by the SME Association of Malaysia, which separates the SME into two categories. One is on manufacturing and another one is on services or other sectors. So if you belong to these categories, literally you are the one who will be eligible to apply for any of this relief fund from the government announced earlier on. Okay. So the condition has actually caused the Malaysian government to introduce several economic stimulus packages. In fact, the first package was introduced back by the then interim Prime Minister, Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamad, on the 27th of February 2020, that worth about 20 billion ringgit. And a month later, our current Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, announced the first Prihatin economic stimulus package that worth about 250 billion ringgit Malaysia. And 10 days later, he announced the additional package for the SMEs specifically that worth about 10 billion ringgit Malaysia. Yeah. Well, despite having all these economic stimulus package, we also realize there are several impacts happening now as of today. Yeah, reports has been talking about SMEs are running out of cash in the next few months, and now we are just in less than 2 months of MCO. There are companies already started to announce of closing down impact. So all these are the causes, and all these are negative news that we have been listening. Yeah, in this situation here. At the same time, because of this pandemic condition and the MCO condition, it also started to force several SMEs to rethink their business model. As you can see, as reported by the papers recently, even the retail industries is reshaping as well. Yeah, including most of us are going online media during MCO, and causes a lot of businesses going online itself. So whether is this a blessing or a curse for businesses to revamp their business model and venture into the digital age, is something for us to ponder about, especially if you're an SME owner yourself. Okay, so therefore this comes into the new norm, yeah, the new normal situation that everybody is talking about now, yeah. But is this new norm good or bad? Is it a bless or is it a curse? It's really up to our mind to think about it, and that's why today's session is really about how do we build the right mindset to embrace into this new normal condition. Yeah, as what we can highlighted by Surah Al-Baqarah 155. Is this really a test for everybody at this point of time? Yeah, is this COVID-19 situation, economic downturn, is it really a test for us to survive in the longer period of time? Is it really a time for us to really look deeply into the issue of our businesses, as what Buddha has also preached earlier on? Okay, look deeply into the nature of suffering to see the causes of suffering and the way out. Yeah, do we really, as SME owners, do you really understand the issue of your market, of your businesses, and therefore you are finding a solution to address those issues? It's already back into the old teachings of Buddha time. Yeah, and is it the right time for us to start to spread our seeds, for us to harvest and sow in the near future more fruit through perseverance, as what we can see in the Gospel of from Luke 8:15. itself. Yeah. So these are very, very interesting to me, specifically as an individual in the business context, that we business people can also learn from it. Yeah. In order to survive itself. And as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. mentioned before, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. And do you realize actually all businesses the same? Yeah, businesses too started without seeing the whole staircase either. So why not we look into faith as a part of the way for us to survive in businesses as well? So that sets the scenario for today's topic here. Okay. So next, I would like to pass on to our panelists for their views on this particular issue. Yeah. So for the first one, I would like to invite Dato Dr. Daniel Ho to has his views with us first. Dato, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Brian, for the wonderful introduction. Okay, that sets truly the whole backdrop to this whole thing. I think this pandemic that we all experience right now, just as Malaysia, the whole world, is a crisis, as we all know. Okay, and in fact, what happens is crisis when it comes is always a test of leadership. You see, our leadership is never tested during good times. It is tested, especially in times of crisis. Okay, it shows, for example, the kind of leader we are. Whether we're a good leader, maybe even a great leader, or a bad leader, or a terrible leader. It also shows whether we are maybe a mediocre leader, just an average so-so leader. The crisis exposes our leadership that's so important. How we can lead our industry, lead our company, lead people, lead a whole group of people out of charge of responsibility. Okay, and that's why I think it was Winston Churchill who said it correctly. Don't waste any crisis that comes along your way. Okay, and we all know he exercised tremendous great leadership during the Second World War, and because of him, I believe that's why Britain won in a fight against Germany. Okay, when Germany was making really inroads into Britain in those days and times. Not only, friends, that crisis is a test of leadership. Crisis is also a test, actually, of us as a person, of each one of us as a human being. Why? Because it tests, on one hand, really our character. Whether, for example, there is strength in us, there is resilience, and there's resolve. It also will show, for example, whether there is integrity, authenticity in us. Whether sometimes we throw all the principles, couldn't care less whatsoever, just hanging there, hang on, do whatever needful, right or wrong, does not matter. And so actually it actually tests our character in a real sense. But on top of that, crisis also tests us as a person in terms of our attitude. Whether we've got good attitude or bad attitude. This is, for example, sometimes when we become very angry, bitter, over all that we've built up over the years, and suddenly overnight, as it were, in this pandemic, the whole thing collapses. It really exposes our attitude, right? Do we still maintain a good attitude, or do we become unreasonable, bitter, angry, hit out on anyone and everyone, and become sometimes even totally illogical, Or do we, on the other hand, maintain our disposition, still keep our cool and our calm and our clarity? Okay? I think this is so important for all of us. So in other words, friends, crisis will always expose us as to the kind of person we are and our leadership. Okay? Not that we're looking for it. We're in that sense, for all of us, a bargain of a lifetime. Okay, in that sense, I think never in the history of the world this kind of crisis, the lockdown, basically. Okay, never in the world's history, in thousands of this kind of crisis taking place. And so it's something we bargain for, but really show us whether it will turn out to be our finest hour or our worst nightmare, really. So really, it's one of leadership, it's one of character, it's one of everything about us. And so therefore, in that sense, I would say, throw a coin, have a wonderful roller coaster ride, and hopefully we all survive and do well at the end of it all. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dato Daniel. Before I move on to Prof. Arfah Salleh, just want to remind everyone, if you can't hear the session, probably you have to check on your
Sorry,
speaker.
we can't hear you, Brian.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you,
Yeah,
Brian.
sorry.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel. And before I move on to Prof. Arfah, I would like to advise everyone, if you can't hear this session, do check your speaker and also kindly ensure that your audio is on in this application itself, yeah, for this WebEx, so that you can hear the session itself, okay? So I would like to pass on to Prof. Arfah for you to have your words, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Brian and Dato. Well, I concur with you in terms of the test. We're talking about leadership and all. What I'm going to do today is to bring everyone back to the fundamental question, to invite everyone to start. Well, I would say connecting with our thought. What exactly we have in mind actually about being human itself? I'm taking it even to a more fundamental, because we're talking about all of us as individuals, whether we are leaders, whether we are just a worker within the organization, we're all human. Now, my question is this, yeah, how have we been viewing the concept of being human itself? So I'm going to try to get us to think along the pre-COVID time and what COVID now is bringing to us and the way forward. Yeah, well, I take it that if you look at how we get to think from schools and universities and all, and even the systems today, the model of being human is actually about economic man. So we are all trained to think to be an economic man, which is all about survival of the fittest. And it's a concept where we are now to serve the economy. Yeah. So now my question is that right? Do we want to continue the same way to talk about us being economic man? Or we want to have a reflection and contemplate and say, this is actually a crisis of not being human itself. Look at what happened before this and look at what's happening now. We have forgotten our relationship with the universe. We've forgotten our relationship with others. But most importantly, I would like to ask a question. When we talk about faith, moving forward, what are we talking about here? Faith means we must have a belief in us. So what's our belief system? So what's our arbiter of truth? I'm a bit philosophical in this area because I want to bring everyone to start questioning. We need to hold on to something, to have faith, to move on, because otherwise we just go and kill ourselves because we don't have any hope anymore. So life is not about that. But let's get the meaning of being human. Yeah. Earlier, Dr. Brian introduced me as someone who was passionate about the meaning of relational being. Yes, we all have relationship. So I want to take everyone to show that COVID-19 has shown us the vulnerability and not invincibility of us. We have been taking everything into our hands. We want to do things our way, and I think this is the opportunity for us to reflect, to say that there's another side of it. That's the reality of metaphysical, which you have been ignoring. As a human, actually, I was hoping, Dato, you bring this the spirituality earlier. Now it's the other way around. But anyway, whether I'm a preacher or not, whether I'm, doing a service sermons, does not matter. We all want to live, yeah. We want to live and we want to hold on to something. So I would like to invite everyone.
Later. Set foundation for it all. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
You're right. So to me, it's going back to the fundamental of being human. So I'd like to invite everyone to question, remind us of the essence of our existence. I don't think it should just be about economy. I don't think we should just be servants to economy, to serve the economy. It should be the other way around. Economy, at least to serve human. But we have forgotten that. Now there's opportunity to come back. I'm going to go very quickly to say that we now have a choice whether we want to continue the way we've been doing things before, continue not thinking of anything else except just sustenance and making money, Or now we say, hang on a minute, we can't even see the virus itself unless we start, I mean, of course, I'm talking about we have gadgets to do that. But the point is, for us every day, we can't see the virus, and yet we fear the virus. So what are we fearing? Is it not something metaphysical in the sense of not being able to see? So, but what about us ourselves? Now, if you don't believe this relationship we have, I am one who believes in the Creator. I believe our existence is not just Darwinian. I want to declare that I'm not just all body. I take it that I have the inner self that I need to connect to, so that now I have belief. I have belief that, and I can go on to faith. Now, our entrepreneurs out there will be talking, will be thinking, she has not given us the formula to succeed, to move on. No, the formula is actually to first question ourselves. Yes, what do we want out of our life? Who are we? Why are we here in the first place? And why do we do our business? Is it just to make money and money and money? Or we want to use that business as the platform, the conduit for us now to share? Yeah. So I think that's very important. Now, I would like to bring along, it's not just another fact to say that we need to move forward, we need to reframe. If we deny the reality of metaphysics, we are not going to, I would say, be able to move on, because it is metaphysical in nature, what COVID-19 is bringing to us. What I want to say is this, yeah. I talk about religion, having faith, but at the same time, I ask everyone to start thinking about our core structure. Some of us just take science, yeah, but science too, if you look into modern science today, it is now talking about consciousness of man. So consciousness of man, awareness. So I'm not going to take any further. I just want to stop here for a while to say that to move on, we need to question. We need to question what is to us a purpose of being human, and who is the human we are talking about? Do we have the inner self or don't we? That's the first part. So we move on after this to take questions. Yeah. Thank you. That's a start to say we are metaphysical and physical.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Arfah. So before we move on to the next session, which is a Q&A session, let me just remind everybody, if you have any question, please send in your questions through the Q&A section. If you accidentally send it through the chat session, no problem as well. I will still go through those questions and we will address to you accordingly. Yeah, and as Dato and also Prof also shared about how do we realize that all of us actually individuals, we should start to question ourselves. All these conditions are actually making us to really think again, what does it mean by being human? Yeah, how should we continue on the life, or do you want to just moving on with what you used to have before? As I mentioned just now, this is a new normal situation now. Everything you have to reset again, you have to unlearn and learn new things again. You may have 20, 50 years of experience. Does it really carries on now? You may want to rethink again. Yeah, it's all about us, in order for us to survive. And Prof also brought in about metaphysical condition here. Not everybody will buy into the idea of metaphysical. Yeah, but is this the right way for us to, or the right time for us to rethink again what we used to know itself? Okay. In fact, a lot of people also, exactly in the past 4 sessions I had, as what Prof indicated just now, a lot of entrepreneurs or SME owners would like to have the formula in the physical form. Yeah, it's very specific. What should I do now in my digital marketing? What should I do now in terms of my finance? Well, you have to understand also, everybody is different. Every businesses are different. All of us are individuals, so one answers doesn't fit everybody in that sense. Yeah. So how can we know which will fit me and which doesn't fit me in my business specifically? So you really need to deep dive into questioning itself, yeah, for us to really know the right answer for you. Therefore, we are looking into the mindset perspective as an answer today, as a formula for today. Uh, Dato, now, do you think that how 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 at individuals, especially SME owners here, can use faith to help them to really figure out the right formula for their business.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually very glad, Dr. Brian, that the whole thing is worded in terms of SME, survival kit, faith, and mindset. I think that's a great thing. I'm happy to respond to that. Let me say, actually, this whole thing reveals two things in all of us. All right, because in a crisis, how we behave, how we respond, reveals two things about us. On one hand, actually it reveals our mindset, how we think and what we think. And which is really part of the crux of this this webinar. And we know how we think, what we think is so important because that will determine our behavior. And as a result, it will have impact, influence on people around us, our colleagues, our friends, our employees, our employers, even our family members, okay, and our loved ones. Because the way we think will affect our behavior, and therefore it will have an impact and influence around us. So therefore, this mind of ours, it's so important, and we believe that it's a creation this Almighty has given to all of us, a mind that He has given to all of us. But sometimes when we're hit with a crisis, our minds goes into everything negative. All right, okay, we see no hope and no future. In that sense, you can't blame people really as to what is happening right now around the world. Maybe Dr. Brian, you put on the quote that just now, and let me just mention this bit here. Part of an article I wrote just recently, and let me extract part of the quote, okay, from it. Okay, and Dr. Brian can put it on. Let me read what it says there for all of us. Okay, and that's a situation, not just Malaysia. That's the situation all around the whole world. Okay, are we on? Okay, Dr. Brian,
Yes.
can you put that on? Yeah.
Which one? The one that you
just
wrote, right?
the quote I gave you, which you put earlier on, but I would just want to mention it here right now. Yeah, that's right. Maybe the slide before, just this. Is there a slide before that? Yeah, that's right. See, what I wrote was this: countless people are living in anxiety and fear. People are uncertain about the future. Many are shut in, lonely, and just longing for someone to talk to, right? Because people are really, in that sense, isolated in so many regards. The next slide, all right? Then I go on to say, job losses, business closures are unimaginable worldwide. The foundation of one's life, security, and confidence is shaken. It is at such a time that people are wondering about the meaning of life and what the future holds for us. And it's true, okay? It must challenge us to begin to evaluate what Prof. Arfah has said correctly about this other aspect that many times we've forgotten about, because human beings is not just an economic being, okay? There is much, much more in us than you and I realize. And therefore, sometimes when we hit with something like this, we begin to wonder, where do I go from here? Is there hope in the future? And people are gripped with fear and uncertainty, if not worry and anxiety. And it is not uncommon to people to have actually insomnia, sleepless nights, and so on, so worried like crazy. Is there?
I lost your voice.
Dato, are you there? Hello, Dato. Dato, can you repeat again what you said? No, can you repeat what you said just now?
Okay.
Now, yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So what I said is that because of fear and uncertainty about the future, nobody can predict what is going to come. Actually, nobody. All right. The next 6 months, the next 12 months, and so on and so forth. All right. It's so uncertain that there's so much fear and anxiety and worry that is not uncommon as a result of people have suffering from insomnia, even discouragement, depression. Okay, and some might even contemplate suicidal thoughts. Sadly. Okay, so is there hope in the future? Where is the way ahead for all of us? And so this is where you see it reveals our mindset, what we think and how we think. And that's the reason when our minds are focused on things negative, it requires actual renewal, okay, for all of us. And that's why there's this text that says, do not be conformed, okay, to the patterns of this world, the thinking pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what is right, what is good, what is best. Okay, so therefore, sometimes when a mind goes to negative, it needs a renewal already, so that we think correctly, we think properly. And what we focus on is so important. Okay, there is this term called GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. So if we fill our minds with all kinds of negative thoughts and so on and so forth, what comes out is garbage as well as the result of this. And that's why we all should fill our minds with all that is good, right, excellent, praiseworthy, and noble. And it's so important. Then what comes up from our life is something that is hopefully encouraging and helpful, both for ourselves and people around us. And so our mindset is very important because it will determine how we behave, how we respond to things around us. We can respond anger, bitterness, and hatred, or we can pause for a moment and reflect and see the whole picture, and then assess the situation, and then see how we take this thing ahead, take this thing forwards. Okay, so that's one. But on the other hand, who we hang out with is also very important. So it is at this time, for example, sometimes you hang around people who are negative all the time, okay, and say, my goodness, no hope, no future, finish, it's all gone, everything else. And if we behave like that, then we find that if we're not careful, we're influenced by them. So the sense of despair and hopelessness sets in, okay, in a process, which would be so sad. And so therefore, our mind and our mindset is so important because it reveals who we are and it will show how we respond in a process, okay, for all of us. Okay? And so this is where the training of our mind is very important. Okay, our mind is renewed, our mind is transformed. So we think correctly and properly so that we know how to respond, okay, rightly. Okay? I think this is so important. That's part of what it is, okay? The other thing that reveals to us, okay, in the midst of this crisis is actually about faith, or no faith at all, okay? No faith, therefore, meaning that we don't believe in, as it were, Creator, this Creator Almighty, that we believe in ourselves and, okay, my own efforts, my own energy, everything about us, okay, that I'm now, you and I know, especially when we face a crisis and pandemic like this, that's so massive. All of us in despair, honestly, all of us feel a sense of helplessness, if not even hopelessness. We know that we are human beings who are limited, okay? And Prof. Arfah, you mentioned correctly, okay? We are not just an economic being. We are not just numbers crunching machines, etc. We are much, much more than that. There is, honestly speaking, a dimension that many times we neglected because we are so caught up with making money and more money, all right? And the trouble is that in the world system we are living in, we do not know how to say enough is enough. See, this whole economic system is based on greed. How much more? How much more? And that's why, I mean, some of the CEOs I journey with, they head up public listed companies, and I pity them because time and again, every year when it comes to the AGM, okay, and near the end, okay, the shareholders will ask, now, what about next year? What's the dividends like? So there's constant pressure to make money and to make money all the time. But you see, the trouble is this, okay, that we don't know how to say enough is enough because the whole economic system is based on greed. Okay, how much more? How much more? All right, all right. And so as a result, we find that there are constant pressure and unnecessary sufferings that people go through and drive themselves crazy to do things like this. Okay, and so therefore, I think this lockdown is very good. I think we are not all in our homes right now. We begin to realize, that there's not a lot of things we need in life. Right? All right. I'm sure many of us are wondering, what for branded goods? Nobody sees, nobody knows, isn't it? Who cares? Okay, maybe it's a time to save all our money on branded goods, isn't it? And not enrich the purveyors of these branded goods, many of whom all come from the West. It's time to save, okay? But more than saving, as I say, actually time to share and give it away because there are many poorer people around. The B40 group, for example. Yeah, and the many actually refugees and migrant workers around here. They are desperate, actually. They're literally living from hand to mouth, and many of these, they are daily wage earners. Okay, and can you imagine right now? Okay, what is happening? So if you don't mind me saying this, okay, I'm a pastor of a church. From our church end, in just this last 2 months, we have served more than 10,000 people. All right, and we continue to do so. okay, bringing food, bringing aid, even helping them with rentals, because some of these got rentals to pay for the room, okay, and where the money is going to come from. And so therefore, it's actually a massive social exercise, and we are glad we counted the joy and a privilege to do so, really, you know. And so therefore, that's something that must teach us about what being a human is, not just caring for ourselves and our own needs, but reaching beyond and reaching up to show love and concern and compassion to these people. I think which is so important that people then experience, you know, what it means to be common humanity in a community together. Okay? So that's that bit about our mindset that I believe this season, it blows our minds to think beyond just my own personal needs, just economics, okay, but much, much more than that. On the other hand, okay, Dr. Brian, can I take a few more minutes?
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Which is really related to this subject about faith and mindset. See, on one hand, as I said, this whole crisis reveals, okay, about the whole of our mindset, how we think, what we think, okay, and then how we respond in the process, because our thinking will always determine our behavior and our actions, okay? But on the other hand, this whole crisis reveals to us whether there is faith or no faith, really. If there's no faith, no belief in a creator almighty, then we look at ourselves and our own efforts and energy. And in something like this, as we all know, we are all helpless. And it's just globally, even people holding the world stage, even top politicians, some that claim themselves to be the most powerful men in the world. So see how helpless they are, totally paralyzed. And look at the problems, in the countries that they stand there in despair, don't know what to do like this, isn't it? And so it's a reminder to all of us, we are honestly limited. And this is where faith becomes very important. A belief that there is Almighty who is there to help us, who is there to journey with us. Now, He's not just up there, okay, transcendent, absolute up there, no contact, nothing whatsoever, but He is more than transcendent. He is immanent. He's with us, in us, for us, and around us. He journeys with us. And so with these CEOs, for example, I work with, it's just amazing, really amazing how they experience the help of this almighty creator with them from day to day like this. Okay, and the example of leadership that they show, the compassion and care they have for the staff. Say one of them, for example, has to furlough. He's got about 60 staff in a team that he built up from scratch, built his company up from scratch 10 years ago. Okay, and built it wonderfully well. And people from different backgrounds are part of his staff team, including people from overseas. Okay, we got. I've met some of his staff members from Africa as well as from the Middle East. Okay, that are working for him. But because it is downturn, his business has dropped down by 90%, and so he has a further 50 of his 60 staff. But you know what? There's so much compassion and care he showed to the staff team. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. All right. Maybe let me read. Is it okay? Let me read what. Okay. Some of the staff team members say, okay, now this comes from a Malay staff, and this Malay staff says this, okay, to him, this CEO and founder of the company, and he says, first of all, I would like to say thank you to FlexiRoam for giving me the opportunity to serve my best in the company. I have never been so proud to be part of such a loving environment, and I cannot express with words how much I appreciate having the chance to call myself a FlexiRoamer here in this company. I understand the issue and truly wish the pandemic will end soon so that FlexiRoam can rise again. However, as selfish as this might sound, I would really appreciate if I can keep my title as an employee of the company, as I've only 1 month more left for my probation period. I would not mind taking a full unpaid leave, as I do have passive income that can help me survive. I'm asking this, and I do not mind even to serve far longer than the 6 month period if needed, just so that I do not have to carry the title unemployed. I also appreciate the help FlexiRoam is willing to provide to ensure that all of us will be able to survive this transition, including finding new places for us to live, as well as food on the table, and also sourcing for jobs to be offered to us. Now, this is one of the several I've got actually on my handphone here that shows, okay, his leadership and the quality of leadership and the care and concern he has for his staff team. Not just, sorry folks, too bad, you're fired. Making sure that, for example, if there's accommodation, he is going to source accommodation for them, making sure there's food on the table from them from day to day, okay, and even looking around for jobs for them, okay, to be employed. And these people, some of them say, we're happy to come and carry on working for no pay whatsoever. And so this is what I mean. You know, it's a reflection on one of mindset, on the other faith, because this CEO I journey with is a true man of faith, who believes that there's a God who cares for him, who walks with him from day to day, and let him trust him. Okay, not depending on our own resources and wisdom. We can ask him, and he will give wisdom to us generously. Okay, not that there will be no challenges when you're a person of faith, like as a Christian. There will be, definitely. All right, but you know, there is this resource available, divine resource available. Why are we not tapping in and struggle like crazy on our own efforts? Okay, I think I've said enough, Dr. Brian.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Dato. Yeah, we have quite a number of questions now lining up
Yeah.
for us to address to. The first one is actually from Min On. She was asking. I'm sorry whether you're she or he. You're asking about, as the topic suggests, SME survival kit owners of businesses are fearful at the cash burn rate, and it's involuntary for workers to fret. How the faith and mindset help owners to overcome their fear. Yeah, I guess what Dato has shared just now. I guess there are three key things that I can simply highlight from what Dato has shared. The first one is in terms of the renewal of mind. We are talking about a new norm now, especially. Yeah, whether do you want to feel fear, or do you want to feel non-fear? For example, it's a choice of you to decide about it. Yeah, and how can you do that? Maybe through the number of people that you mix together. Well, it's a choice again whether you want to mix with people who have negative thoughts, or do you want to mix with people who have positive thoughts. And also because and also another option for you is whether you want to choose to have faith or no faith. Yeah, do you believe in the creator, or do you believe in yourself only, that you're able to solve the problem? If you're able to believe yourself that you can solve the problem, then you won't be feared, right? If you're fearing, means that you are not able to solve the problem. So why would there be no faith then? So it's a question for us ourselves to ponder and to think about. Yeah, and of course, some of our attendees here might not be into certain religions, for example. Yeah, you might be a free thinker, for example. It doesn't matter. Yeah, because whether you like it or not, this is how the brain works, and this is already being proven by neuroscientists. And how our brain works is that if you are fearful, if you are unhappy, literally your mind will just shut you down from thinking for solutions. Simple as that. Yeah. So it's a matter of a choice for ourselves, whether do you want to have your mind open so that you can think of a solution to your problem, whether it's a cash problem, whether it's an employee problem, whether it's a sales problem. It doesn't really matter. Problem is a problem. Yeah. So it's we ourselves. That's why we are talking about mindset is relatively important here. Now, I would like to jump to another question where maybe Prof. Arfah, you can address first on this here by Justin Goh. How can we practice what we preach in helping the people in the economy and not for our own greed in the business? Many successful people out there use dirty tactics to climb up the ladder and succumb into not helping people. So what is your thought on that, Prof?
Well, my thought again, also what Dato has said, and you rightly mentioned about the mindset. But my question is, at the end of the day, whether you are with anyone out there, whether you have people who are positive thinkers or negative thinkers, it is still about you. You are the one who have to connect to your inner self. Now, the point is this. The point is to know how to do that. You know, when you have everything, people coming in, this is not symptom, but I want to go deeper than that. Yeah. So this is the journey. When you want to move from fear, you want to move to having hope. It is faith, yes, which is correct. So what we have done, I do not want to just talk about it, because we are now wanting to put into practice. So let me share, quite some time back, we decided to do a bit of research, to go and stay, be with one of my students. We did a 4-year research to understand entrepreneurs, the mindset, how they're going to be able to actually put into actualization what they believe. Because the question is about living, putting into practice, because some people do not actually, they say they are good, but at the end of the day, they play politics to go up. That's part of the question. So it's exactly what you want to do. Now, coming back to the research is about some entrepreneurs who wanted to go into entrepreneurship, actually, or who went into entrepreneurship, into business, because they have no choice. There was this lady, we all covered females actually, wanted to understand why they went into the business and whether they were successful. So we covered a group of more successful entrepreneurs over the years. And the research, a qualitative research, to understand the thinking, what went through their mind. So what they did was they said, most of them were single mothers not knowing how to feed their children. So they had no choice but to go into business because the only one they don't have qualification to work in organizations, so decided to go into business. But long story short, it was faith. They said because they believe that, they believe in the creator, and they believe in what I would call the metaphysical, that at the end of the day, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. You can take all precautions, yet at the end of the day, it is beyond you to control the outcome. And because of that, because of the faith, they just persevere, continue, and they say, while at the same time, they know they have relationship with workers, they have relationship with others. So they believe that for them to be able to get good, or I would say blessings, they too must ensure that they behave well. So at one point in time, as they move along, they actually were practicing all the good, I would say, actions themselves. So when they do that, they get to see the, I don't like to use the word outcome, but what you want to call the rewards, the rewards at the end of the day. So when we interview, we study the group of entrepreneurs, these are small entrepreneurs, when they actually practice being good, believing in faith, they get the reward. Now, to move on, I can't say within 5 minutes. The journey, it is a journey from internal to be a good person. It's actually internal. An internal journey. We do have, so because of that, about a couple of years back, we decided to come in to talk about human governance, because we take along through a journey to get everyone to connect with themselves first. This is something which is not being offered everywhere, because it's always about preaching. Usually we tell what to do, things like that. But taking along and thinking along, and at the end of the day, realizing that there is a journey we need to take, and that helps a lot. So we decide program. This is not an advertisement, by the way. I'm not interested in advertising, because we are very focused on only those who really want to do it, which we can help. So we talk about immersion program, going into the inner self and really connecting to say what exactly is happening in the mind. Because like I said earlier, it's only when you yourself can connect to the inner self for to be able to be good. So coming back to the question, I would say that it's going to be very difficult to just say in one-liner, to say, this is how you do it, but it can be done. So we hope that this COVID, for me, is a crisis which brings us to open our mind, to open our heart, to open to our soul, to see that we have a different way of doing things. Now, just a short one. If you look at 2020, everybody talk about vision 2020. I mean, not the vision as in the economic vision, but the point is 2020 is supposed to be a perfect vision, right? But this COVID-19 comes in 2020. So what does it mean? So to me, I look at the whole big picture and I say, look, 2020 means that it's not complete if you don't actually look at your inner eye. So outer eyes, 2020, you get what I mean, Dr. Brian? Yeah. So it's not sufficient just to talk about perfect vision using the our physical eyes, but we need the inner eye to move on. So that is what I'm going to share. And I think the rest of it, I think we have to talk about the new norm. So that's my new norm. My new normal is actually to have the inner eye, to have a vision, to have faith, and to move on so that I'm no longer fearful. And I would like to invite everyone that we have to hold on to something to be able to move forward. Yeah, if that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Prof. You also point out the word hope there, yeah? And apparently we have Jeremy Yeo here also asked this question. In such a time as this, when all hope seems lost for SMEs, how do we find hope then? Dato, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think this is where faith comes in, really. A faith, a belief to know there is an Almighty there in us, for us, in us, around us, to journey with us. Right? So that we are not struggling on our own, really, not just human efforts. There is the huge, massive resource available from the Almighty to help us. All right. And we know, whilst we don't know what the future holds, but we know who holds the future. It is God Almighty who holds the future. And so therefore we can rest in His security, in His peace, in His assurance, and His joy. We don't have to be fidgety, really. All right. Not that there are no problems or challenges, okay? Not that we don't have to wrestle through some of the issues before us, but we know at the end of it all, we can trust Him, right? We can patiently and with perseverance continue to press and do all that is needful, but also knowing that He is there for us and with us, okay? And also we can ask Him for wisdom, okay? In this text, this ancient script, it says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let her ask, and He will give generously. And so I've seen this again and again with CEOs of companies, that when they really humble themselves and ask this Almighty amazingly to help them and help them through and tide through the challenges, the problems, and the tensions. Okay, and so that's just a bit from fear to faith that comes in powerfully to help all of us, and therefore He offers hope at the end, to know He's in charge and control. He holds everything in His hands. So that's why we can have the peace and assurance at the end of it all.
Okay, great. So there's another question from Jeffrey Ng here. How can employer let the employee to understand current situation and have the right mindset, that what the panels mentioned, what you guys mentioned? So employer and employee are two different animals altogether, right? Yeah. We know that very clearly in the theory of agency theory. So how can the employer actually makes the employee to really understand, so that they can feel the belonging and they can work together as a team using faith and mindset? Prof, you want to start first?
Well, I would like just to say this, yeah. Employer, I think if the employer is able to share that the business is not just about himself, it's not about him setting up the business with the employee being some people or rather a party he wants to exploit. Business is actually a cooperation. We're talking here about working together. The employer and employee will share the benefit when the business goes up. So I think if that philosophy has been provided from the beginning, at the purpose of the business shared, this is where the employer, I believe, can always share with the employee why the business grow together. So when it comes to hard times like this, I believe the employee would also understand. It is not easy, but they too would understand the fact that it is a journey everybody have to take together. Yeah. So that's all I want to say, because I believe in a short, I would say in a one-liner, that it's a cooperation between the employer and the employee.
Okay, great. Dato, what is your thought on this?
Yeah, I think what happens is that as an employer, in the way we lead our company, your staff team employees will know the kind of person you are, really, okay, because it is more than just actually leadership, maybe good leadership, hopefully, but it's also your character, all right, your attitude. And so therefore, if one has been leading the company well, where there is, okay, integrity, authenticity, transparency, but on top of that, the care and compassion for the staff members, creating an environment like that of a family, really, you know. And that's why this company I quoted, everybody feels they belong to a family like that. And they come from something, I think, from 15, 20 countries, really. It's amazing. And so when you let a company like this, where there is care and concern, compassion and love, authenticity, okay, integrity, and it gives you therefore authority, and you're transparent, so that when he shares with our staff team members about the real situation and how deeply in trouble they are, the staff members understand that. All right. The staff members come alongside. Yeah, we understand all the go too much as we don't want. We should will not happen, but we understand. Okay, we empathize with you and do whatever that is right. And, you know, and that's what he did by following the staff, and they understand, okay, and they're willing to go along with it. Okay, why? Because it shows that he has been leading the company well. This is very important. See, if the employee or the boss is someone is out to squeeze every single drop from the staff members,
yes,
out to take advantage, exploit, you can be sure, okay, you'll find the staff team members will not cooperate with you like that when you got something like this to announce. Okay, but when you're transparent, honest, very frank, they understand. They don't.
Yeah.
In fact, they fully empathize with you. They feel sorry for you. In fact, I've got so many text messages. These employees say, "Are you okay? Is your family okay? You know, all right, okay. Can we help in any way?" Imagine, you know what I mean? So here's one example of many that I relate to.
Yeah.
Such a good example, you know, so that you can tell them honestly, they don't mind, okay? And okay, but on the other hand, I would say this. See, sometimes in our companies, we have done well over the years or earlier years. Now we're hit with something like this. You know what I mean? All right. What do we do? I would say to bosses like this, dig into your own pockets and come with money to help, to support, and to give, to share with the staff team. Okay, that's what is important. You see, sometimes these bosses in the past, they make so much money. Now with a crunch like this, they say, friends, just too bad. Okay, as from today, you have to leave the company. That's all. No, come on. I say, you know, this money you make, what for? What for you keep it there when you should use it as a blessing to people like this around? I would say also, to some people, for example, they are blessed with the ownership of so many properties. And I hear one example, you know what I mean? This company owner went to talk to the landlord to say, could you consider, okay, rental reduction? Because what is happening right now, you know what? This man who is so wealthy refused to give a single cent off. So sad. Okay, this is what, when we are gripped by money. See, when we are gripped by money, when money owns us, we become a slave. And it's a terrible slave, you know, very, very important for all of us. See, we are made for work. We're made for work and made to do work. But when work takes control of us, work has mastered us. When work has mastered us, work becomes a cruel master. And that's what is happening. A lot of people really oppressed by work non-stop. Okay, you, all right, 12 midnight still in the office at work. And sometimes bosses would exploit them to the max, okay, which is so sad like this. We're not meant to be like that. As Prof. Arfah said, we're not economic being. We're not just money-making machines. There's more to us than you and I realize, you know what I mean? But when bosses treat their staff like this, you can imagine they will not take it well. These are clever guys, you know what I mean? All right, and you will face your own consequences in a process when times like this happens. But I will say to those who are really blessed, then to share, I would in fact say to some who are landlords, maybe some of you listening are landlords, hey, give, I would say, holiday rental to those people who are using your property, renting your property. All right, offer a rental holiday to them as a way to help to support. Okay, isn't it? Because we must share in this common rest struggles in life together, and don't be so greedy. Because how much more do we need in life? You know. But you see, when money owns us, money becomes a cruel master. That's why, all right. In a text, the ancient text says, the love of money is the root of all evils. Not money is the root of all evil, the love of money. All right? It's the root of all evils, okay? Actually, that's from the Bible. And so when it grips you like this, it actually, okay, degrades you and make you a different kind of human beings that's no longer human at all.
Dato, if I could just share to that, because I think it's very important, the fact that someone wants some formula. At the same time, we are talking here about getting out of this grid. Well, I would like to quote, Dato come from your belief system and I come from my belief system, yeah? And I think it's very important for us, for Muslims. I would like to bring this particular verse, which is actually regarding how the formula. You talk about landlord giving discounts, things like that. But there's one verse is actually in the 24:37. It says this, men whom neither commerce nor trade distracts them from remembrance of God, and they perform the prayer and they give the zakah. So what is saying is the formula is given there actually. Even when you go into commerce, you must not forget your responsibility. One is to God and one is to your fellow humans and of course the world. So the formula is there. It's just about how we want to hold on to it, whether we have faith, we want to continue and move on from having fear, anxiety, and now having hope and moving along, because everyone's in the same boat in the sense, or rather facing the same storm, but we're all in this different boat. Yes, different boat, but same storm.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, Prof.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Prof.
You're absolutely right, Prof. Arfah. You see, as you know, I mentor CEOs of companies. On top of that, I mentor politicians in this country, well-known national politicians, people in the entertainment industry, well-known, top-notch entertainers, singers in this country. All right, their names are well-known in this country. I journey with all of them, and if you allow me to say this, actually, I use my holy book, the Bible, and there are tons of teachings there to journey with them to make a difference in their realm, in their domain where God has put them, whether in the area of politics, economics, business, world of education, world of entertainment and the arts and the media and so on and so forth. So I journey with them and use the text from there, tons of it, to help them to have a clearer understanding of the call of the Almighty upon us as to why we're here in this world, why He put us here in this world, to bring change and transformation in the hearts and lives of people, in society, in our nation, and the nations of the world.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. and Dato as well. Yeah, it's 4:03 now. I think the discussion has been quite heated up, and we still have quite a number of questions to address. If you don't mind, if I can extend for about 20-25 minutes, are you fine with that?
We are fine. I'm fine. At least I don't know about that. So I'm fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sure. Happy to carry on. Carry on longer, Dr. Brian.
Okay, excellent. Now, when earlier on we talked about a bit on the relationship between the employer and employee, right? So Dato as well and Prof. Arfah has already shared their opinions on this. Let's move on to another question where we try to link now between businesses and customers itself. Yeah. So the employer and the customers themselves. Now, this question is asked by asked by Nadia Sahimi as a preschool owners. So she is a preschool owner. We try to help parents and teachers, but parents are refusing to pay school fees, although they are on full paycheck. We get yelled and threatened. What would be your advice on how we should respond to this behavior? Yeah, so as a business owner, they are being yelled and being threatened by, in this case, it's a preschool business. Yeah, what is your advice for them to respond to this behavior? Anyone would like to start first?
Maybe Prof. Arfah, please help us, Prof. Arfah.
Oh, Dato, never mind. Okay, no, I'm an educator myself. We were in situation where we talk about that. Okay, now there are two ways actually when we talk about it. One way when we talk about there's the legal way, that's the legal way. But is that the way you want to take? That's my question. legal way. I believe in this time. Well, because the whole premise is you are saying that they get full pay, and yet they don't want to pay the fees. So that just reflects actually the kind of parents who send the children there. Is But it's beyond your control to say that you only want certain types of parents, right? How you wish it's going to be all those who have goodness in the heart, but you don't know. Now, from the parents' perspective, I think we need to also appreciate what the parents is saying is probably in this COVID time, this period, MCO, they are not getting the service. If they don't get the service, they don't send the children to the preschools. Why are they paying the fees? So you see, I cannot but go back to our earlier discussion, the fact that we've all been trained to think along economic line. It's everything like I pay, I get. I pay for a service, and when I don't get the service, I don't want to pay. So this is how it is today. I cannot say I have an answer for you. I'm going to be very honest. But I think it is worth having a conversation with the parents. Having a conversation exactly where the parent is coming from, to say at the end of the day, we are talking about all of us are in this together. Maybe you want to talk a bit again, like what Dato said about the owners, the landlord. Maybe there's a way to compromise. I don't know, I said. But again, talk to them. Don't straight jump to the legal way. I would never recommend the legal way because we're all human. I think the moment they can appreciate your situation, you have to pay your teachers. I'm sure you have to pay your teachers. Yeah. So but my question, actually, I also have question for you, actually, Nadia, because my question is, what about parents who do not get full pay? Would you give discounts to them? Yeah. So I'm bringing in another dynamics into this scenario. But how do you view parents? So at the end of the day, there is no one answer. That's for me. It's all about having a conversation with them. It's all about making them see that if you believe yourself, you can compromise. So it's about I don't like to use the word compromise. I like to use the word collectively come to a decision together. Yeah, together that you both are going to lose if nothing happens. Talk in a manner where the child will benefit at the end of the day. We are talking about the child at the end of the day. If the mother, the parents, if you are not happy with the parents anymore, what's going to happen to the child? Yeah, can you handle the child? I think my advice is think carefully how you would like the situation to be. Do you treat this parent different from another parent, or do you treat them all the same? And then how do you want them to help you overcome the situation together? It's a journey to actually educate their child, which is also your child in a sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Dato, what do you have to
Dato, do you have any
offer?
thoughts to say?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Prof. Arfah. What you say is brilliant, really. Okay, shows you're a perfect mother who understands all this. Okay. But really, Nadia, I know it's tough. It's tough. We also run a kindergarten for 300 kids. It's tough during this time, because some of them genuinely struggle. I mean, thankfully, this person you mentioned, Nadia, is on full pay, but some of them actually losing their jobs, already lost their jobs. You know what I mean? Who are parents of the kids that go to your preschool. Now it's tough for them. What do they do like this? And what Prof. Arfah says is correct. Don't go the legal way. Sit down and talk with them. Now, I think just now you mentioned they scream and shout at you. I think maybe calm them down and say, hey, friends, we're living in a civil society. We are living in a civil society. We are civilized people in a civil society. Surely you can sit down and talk. So calm them down, okay? And let's have a chat and see. Let's evaluate and see how honestly you're doing. I mean, if you don't mind about finances,
Dato, I think Dato's line is a bit lagging there. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Dato,
Yeah.
Dato, can you repeat again what you said? You
Am
were
I
lagging
okay?
just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were okay.
Sure. So I said, yeah, we're living in a civilized society. We're civil human beings. Let's sit down and talk, chat, and let's look at, okay, the issue, the situation, if it's finances, okay, is this true? Because some people are just, holding back and want to take advantage, exploit the situation like this. You know what I mean? And so you shared about your side as well, about, okay, as Prof. Arfah said, rental to pay, teachers to pay, and so forth. Okay, and they just be open, transparent about the whole thing. And the concern together is concern for the welfare of your child. Okay, not just about you and me, the welfare of the child and how best we can together, okay, contribute towards the good of the child. But also, I think going beyond that, actually, as Prof. Arfah has said, some of them really struggle with finances because job loss and everything. And so with the kindergarten, we really give a discount for some of these people. And that's what actually we are doing right now with our kindergarten. Okay, having looked through 300 sets of parents to see what we do, how we evaluate the whole thing. But also, I think to tell them sometimes, you see, what happens is, well, yeah, the kids may not come to school, but actually, I've discovered that the teachers are working harder right now already because they prepare all the work and put it online and so forth. I'm sure Dr. Brian also experienced this.
Yeah,
A lot more
that's
hard
right.
work to put all your courses online. You know, when you go into class, you might waffle a little bit and so forth. But when you're online, every single minute counts. It must be, you know what I mean? It must be fruitful. You must communicate. You cannot while away your time and so forth. You can't even afford to go to the toilet. You know what I mean? You'll be on all the time, as it were. So explain to them that it's harder work actually to put things online, and the kids could log in and learn from home. And so I think it's what Professor said. Sit down, let's talk, discuss, let's negotiate, and what is the best way forward. Okay, like that, and hopefully, a good understanding will come because we all together want the best welfare for your children.
Yeah. And pray,
Okay.
of course. Pray.
Yeah, sure. Should right. So pray like crazy.
Yes.
Feel like crazy.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Prof. and Dato as well. So the next 2-3 questions more we're going to take in here. It's very much technical questions towards business management itself. The first question is again coming back to the relationship between employer and employee. What to do if employee is not performing? Should not fire them or should give them another chance? So what is your thought on that if we base on faith and mindset concept?
Performance, yeah.
Yeah.
I take it you're going to, because Dato had just responded to the question earlier, so it's going to be me. All right. Now, I like this question very much because I think, my experience also running organizations, we have been into this situation where we have employees who underperform. And I think most important is to come up in the first place. First, I think the employee should be made known that he is underperforming. So, and the other thing is, in the first place, the benchmark. What do you mention? What do you mean by performing? What do you expect of the person? So every employee, I believe, would want to know what's expected of him or her. And when he or she knows that he or she is not performing and being told so, and discuss further. I think I always believe that if the employer takes the employee as one who is going to journey together along the business, along the organization, the employer will now would talk about this development of the employee too. Yeah, self-development, technical development, and what need to understand what are the reasons behind why the employee is not performing according to the employer's I would say definition. If it's not made known to the employee, how would you expect the employee to improve? I don't believe in just immediately sacking. I believe in making the employee know where the gaps are, what are the expectations and giving them or questioning and inquiring whether the employee would need help, because sometimes the employee need help, yeah, because in certain technical issues. So are we going to provide the training or the expectation from the employer? So there's always going to be these two. When you talk about relationship, there are always two parties. So expectation and performance will always need to come to a meeting point. So to move forward, to have all employees to be top performers, we need to understand what is stopping them to becoming performers. So that's my response. My response is not to immediately sack or stop the person, dismiss the person, but to give the person some opportunity to develop him or herself.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Dato, we have another question. Maybe you can address to this.
Can
Yeah.
I add on? Can I add on a little bit here? Dr. Brian, can I just add on one or two things
yeah,
what
sure.
Prof. Arfah has said? What
Yes,
do you
go
say,
ahead.
Prof? Excellent, outstanding. There should be KPIs, okay, to measure our performance, benchmark. Okay, if not, we should talk through with that person, evaluate what's wrong, and so forth, like that, give feedback, and so forth, and expect the person to perform. If need be, give technical coaching skills, whatever skills that they need. So all these things are great. But you see, sometimes the problem with the employee is one of attitude.
Yes.
Just bad attitude. Okay, coming late always. To workplace and not giving the very best. Okay, and finding the slightest excuse to do everything else. And that kind of thing. Sometimes it's one of lifestyle. Just poor lifestyle. This guy will always stay late into the night and struggle to get out on time. And when they come to work, no focus, no concentration, because they've not had enough sleep, as it were. You know what I mean? And so these are also issues when we wrestle with. But the other thing that sometimes employees are not performing that we need to be sensitive to, and this is why we need to sit down and talk. It's a whole area of sometimes family dynamics. Things might have happened at home. We better understand. Maybe, for example, the wife has got cancer suddenly. Now that puts his mindset into a tailspin. You know what I mean? And he can't focus anymore after that. Or the own child is sick, very seriously sick. With cancer, whatever. So this is where coming alongside understanding is very important. And that's where for employer, for a boss, how to understand the compassion is very, very important before you use a big stick and sit up on these people. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Dato, just to let you know that your video is not working, yeah, but we can hear you well.
Right.
It's just that your video is not working, just to let you know first, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
So we have this question from Aslan Sharom. What would you recommend about a max multiple for CEO salaries, and how to profess a true profit-sharing enterprise with employees? Yeah. So two things: max multiple for CEO salaries and a profit-sharing enterprise with employees. What is your thought on this at this point of time?
The max employee should earn, is right? The CEO should earn, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Would you recommend that?
Okay. I think there's a tough one, really, as to what is the limit for it. I know it's never easy. Different industries will pay their CEOs differently.
Right.
But I think, my greater concern is not how much a CEO gets. My greater concern is those lower down in the organization, how much they get. That's my greater concern. Because sometimes the CEOs are paid huge amounts, but those further down, the sweepers, the cleaners, that kind of thing, are paid pittance, which I think is so sad. You know what I mean? Because we need a reasonable amount to live. Very important. Like even here, for example, living in PJ, I think for even a single person, a reasonable amount is about 3,000 ringgit a month. I think, and not because there's mortgage to pay, a room rental, and so forth. Like this. But sometimes it's just outrageous. These people are so paid so lowly, and the CEO gets huge amounts, and the bonus each year is just unthinkable. And so this is where some measure of balance must come in. So I'm not so much concerned how much CEO should be paid. I'm more concerned with those, okay, the middle rung and those lower down, how much should be paid. I think that's more important. So that you create a more compassionate, more understanding, more caring environment and organization.
Right. Okay. Prof, your background has a bit of technology as well, right? If I remember well. Yeah, a little bit of
Oh,
technology there.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So this question maybe you can address to from Andrew Lee. He asked, with COVID-19, it has forced many businesses to work remotely using technology.
Yes.
Moving forward
Yes.
with, moving forward, technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, algorithms put many out of work, except those who work in the technology sector. So how can employees post-COVID remain relevant and employed despite the the emergence of AI and the new technologies?
Well, I would say this, yeah. Even without COVID, AI was actually already, I would say, coming in as a disruptive, bringing in disruptive effect on businesses, because we talk about replacing some of our employees. Yeah, when we talk about recurring transactions. Yeah, the point is this: businesses now have developed into many areas. So if we ourselves view human as just machines, so when we want to talk about efficiency, obviously we are going to be replaced, because it's just about doing things within certain point in time. I mean, it take about duration 1 minute. How fast can you do it? Of course, you cannot compete with machine if that is the case. Now, the point is we need to have, if we are talking about employees whom we need to have ideas, yeah, we talk about different thing. Machine cannot give you ideas. Yeah, machine can give you something which is recurring. The AI itself is talking about data, which is already the trend has been set. Then we can talk about machine replacing. So if you are in an industry where you still need the human interaction, I mean, you talk about, let's go to the hotel. In a hotel, tourism industry, you need someone, you want the personal touch. So you can't have robots coming in to say hello to you and just taking you, okay. So it all becomes very clinical and nothing there, you don't talk to human. Is that what you want? So coming back to that, technology has its limits, I must say. Technology has its limits. However, if you are just in a business where you can actually, when the service, I would say that employees are just seen as someone doing a function which is repeatable and recurring, what I would call you can predict, then machine will take over. Yeah. So what do you want actually? The employer must always ask that. So on the employee side, if you are in an industry where your business is still talking about having this personal touch, the human thing, you will not need to worry, because no machine can ever replace a human talking to another human. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Prof. I think we will take in for the last question here for today. Yeah. Okay. A lot of businesses will be reopened on May 4th, as we observed that second wave of the COVID-19 happened in several countries after the curve has flattened. What support system will be in place for the different organizations if the second wave of infection occurs again in Malaysian context? You have any thoughts on this? Either Dato or Prof? So we're talking about countries like even Korea or China. There are recurring cases basically of COVID-19. Yeah. So once if things are going on as normal, businesses going back to in action, what kind of support system do you think is in place in different organizations if this happened again?
Maybe a number of things. Okay, I mean, one is we still must observe social distancing. I mean, we must be responsible, member of society. All right. So all of us need to exercise social distancing. Wherever we go, even a place of work, and so on and so forth. And the other thing, hygiene. Okay, both personal hygiene and community hygiene is important. And so things like providing sanitizers, for people around, besides ourselves, and so on and so forth, becomes that important, okay, for us. And the third area is being conscious of one another's health. That if one or two don't feel well, I think we should ask them either to go home or take whatever necessary tests and so on and so forth. I think so that we don't unnecessarily infect people around if indeed we came down with this. Because you see, this COVID-19 is honestly speaking, is so contagious and so unpredictable, as it were, that one person, okay, can pass it on to 200 people without his or her realizing sometimes, because it can be asymptomatic, you see. And so if there's any sense of any symptom, I think we should exercise wisdom and caution, okay, for this. And then also, I would say, when you go back to work, okay, if your staff team is a fair number, organize yourselves into two teams, Team A and Team B of about equal strength. Because if you don't, and then you work alternate weeks, 1 week, one worker in the office, okay, one will work from home, all of them. Following week, you swap around. Because if you work together as one team, if one or two gets infected, your whole team can be crippled and whole organization can be affected. So these are things that you got to do, and about equal strength, so that you don't have one side very strong and get crippled, the other side also strong, can't do a lot. Okay, and so these measures must be put in place. But to say that we should keep on shutting down until very clear, okay, that hopefully second wave will not come around, I think it's putting enormous pressure and stress upon very ordinary workers, stall owners, okay, small holders, and so on and so forth. Okay, I think again, they're really suffering. Some of this, we need to be sensitive. I know it's not an easy thing. We just have to just watch every step of the way, but all of us need to just be responsible and play our part well, okay, like this, and prayerfully, things will really taper off, more and more, we pray.
Right.
Yeah, if I could just say something, Dr. Brian, just on this one,
sure.
just to say this, we are here talking about faith, we are talking about faith and mindset. Well, I want to just quote something for us. In Islam, there's this saying by the Prophet who says this, have faith in God, but tie your camel. So it means that you still need to do something about it. You cannot just say, okay, I have faith, God will look after me, and that's it. So like Dato said, taking precaution, ensure that you have two teams separate, things like that. So again, have faith, yes, don't forget the faith, but also tie your camel.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Prof, and also Dato Daniel. Before I let you to have your final say for everybody, your final advice for everybody here, just let me quickly address to this question by John Ng here. Should we provide funding to support systems like giving incentives for existing businesses to go online, including e-learning in schools until the vaccine can be found? If you would like to get more information, you actually can look through some information on the first economic stimulus package announced by the then interim Prime Minister Tun Dr Mahathir Mohamad on the 27th of February. In fact, there was extra funding for skills training for employees, specifically to enhance their skills on digital context itself. And besides that, also under the current stimulus package, also there are the relief fund to assist SMEs owners to embrace through this situation, and this relief fund also can be part and parcel of your online strategy as well, or your digital strategy as well. So you can just get more information in detail if you visit this Prime Minister's office website, if you would like to. Okay, so I would like to get Dato Dr Daniel Ho, your last piece of advice for everybody for today.
I thought maybe Prof Arfah, why did you go first, Prof Arfah?
Okay.
I am. Well, yes.
Ladies first, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to say that you have a choice. Everyone has a choice to be made. To have faith or not to have faith. That is a choice to be made. But this COVID-19 is an invitation for us to reflect whether we want to continue the way things were like before, or whether we want now to reset our thoughts and now look at life from a bigger perspective than just being an economic model.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Dato?
Yes, I agree with what Prof. Arfah has said, really. This is a time for reflection. Who are we? Why am I here? Where am I going? Where do I belong? Is there worth or value in life? So first, who am I is question identity. Who am I, really? All right. If we don't know who we are, we struggle for life. Okay. Secondly, why am I here? My purpose. Is it just to enrich myself or more than that? Okay, myself more than that. The third area is where am I going? My destiny. Where am I destined for? We are not more than just a material being. Okay. There's a spiritual dimension that nobody runs away from. And so we got to know our destiny at the end. Where are we going to end at the end? And then fourthly, where do I belong? A community. So we all need to belong somewhere. We're not lone rangers, okay? And a community becomes very, very important for all of us because it will support and sustain us together, okay? So the chances of finishing well in life together is so much more than when trying to run our own individual races. And then finally, is there worth of value in life, which is to do with significance, okay? And so therefore, for example, a worker, all right, okay, down there, working as a cleaner in your company, in your organization, does that person have worth of value in life? Okay, because all of us are made, created in the image of God. Every person has got worth and value. Every person, irrespective of where we are in a social ladder, and that's why treating them with dignity and respect is so important for all of us. That's why I always plead with CEOs of companies, make sure, because I said to them, when I look at your companies, I don't look at you and your senior management, how good, how wonderful they are. I look at those way down at the bottom, your cleaners, your sweepers, okay, your janitors. I look at them and how well you treat them. That will determine the quality of the company. Not how well you pay those guys up there. No, 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 no. Okay, so treating every person with dignity, respect is so important for all of us. Okay, because we are part and parcel of humanity that God has made all of us. Okay, we are very important for us, and therefore, okay, coming back to this, we all recognize that the world has changed. It is no longer the same anymore. Okay, we're going to wake up to a new world. Okay, a world whereby things are more uncertain than we realize. We cannot predict now. Okay, and many companies are nervous about is there hope, is there a future? As I said, this must drive us back to consider whole issue honesty of faith, as Prof. Arfah said. Okay, rightly, properly. Don't you know the world has changed? Industries have changed. All right, we got to look at some of the industries involved in, because some of them actually it's going to be historical. The future is almost over, really, for some of them. So we reevaluate. We first find that is there a future for our industry, for our work, for our business? If not, we have to rework through certain things like this. In fact, okay, I'm also actually from a technology background. I was trained as an engineer. I used to teach engineering actually in Kuala Lumpur here before I resigned, eventually become pastor of a church. Okay, and so therefore I connect with these people, engineers, technology people, and so forth. Okay, like that, to say that there are some industries. Okay, actually there's not much future left. Are we willing to re-engineer yourself, re-image yourself, to think about new ways, new ways of doing things, and so forth? And so therefore, including our jobs as well. Don't we have to reskill ourselves, because some jobs, it could be actually on the way out, and so we have to work through all of these so that prayerfully there is hope in the future for all of us. Okay, but coming back to it all, and that's what really the sermon is all about. At the heart of it all, it is about really faith and mindset, how we think, how we respond. Okay, it's so important for all of us. But also, on the other hand, the faith element is such a resource that if we don't tap, it's really to our own loss. Okay, really to our own loss. And so I've seen dramatic change and transformation. People, CEOs of companies who became Christian, I see them responding, behaving totally different from others. Not that there are no problems. There will continue to be problems, and problems are actually good for us, because it can bring the best. It can bring the best out of us or the worst out of us, and that's all. That's why it should challenge us to humility, to teachability, to patience, okay, to perseverance, because some answers don't come overnight, okay, and so it's important that steel, that stamina, And it comes really from Almighty God, who wants to help us, right, to brace whatever it is. You know, at the end, it is not just a long, dark tunnel that is light at the end of the day. It requires patience, perseverance, putting our hearts, our minds, drawing resources in from other people also to help to give us light and understanding, advice and counseling us. But to know that we are not alone, okay? That is just Almighty with us. And for that, we can have peace and assurance that whatever happens, my life is in His good hands. Therefore, I can walk in trust, in faith and obedience. So that's a joy, that's a blessing, okay, for a person of faith and a mindset that is really, okay, geared under the hand of the Almighty God.
Okay, thank you very much, Dato. So I hope everybody got some good insights from our two panelists here today. And we know that we are into the new normal now. It's not a choice. Yeah, it's really the way forward for everybody to survive. It's a matter of your own choice now, whether you believe in faith and whether you want to have a victorious mindset or you want to have a victimized mindset. It's entirely up to your own choice here. Yeah, but you should have your own answer by now in order for you to survive next year. So thank you very much to two of our panelists, and also I would like to give some credits to the sources used in this session here from Al Jazeera, New Straits Times, SME Association of Malaysia, as the Star, and as what Prof has slightly in touch on metaphysical just now. So if you are interested into metaphysics power, you can see me again on the coming session, which is coming Wednesday, the next 3 days. I'll be talking to Dato Joey Yap, on these metaphysics power, if it does interest you. If the next session also I have on the next day, on the 7th of May, we'll be looking into e-commerce and cyber law. So if you are SME owners, if you are interested to look into your online businesses, what are the options for you and what are the legal implications for your online businesses, do join me on Thursday, 7th of May from 8 to 9 p.m. here, okay? You just follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel, UOW KDU, and this session of recording will also be uploaded onto our YouTube channel soon. You will receive an email to inform you that we have uploaded the video later on. Otherwise, you can just follow us on our Facebook, Instagram for our next session to highlight to you all. Okay, so thank you again very much, Dato Dr. Daniel Ho, as well as Professor Dr Arfah Salleh, for today's sessions, sharing your excellent thoughts with all our audiences here. And have a good evening, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye, Dato.
Bye-bye, Prof. Arfah.